that becomes a sacred viewpoint in our culture. That is the good news of this new paganism. A God who brings everything into one and makes us divine like Him through enlightenment. And if we are divine, we have to be just. Enter social justice. The more I study this movement, the more I see that there are two things behind this frenzied view of civilization. The first is interfaith mysticism, and the second is social justice ideology. These two things are the powerful driving forces of spirituality today. To them, what is necessary is shared spirituality and collective service, namely mysticism and social justice. Thus, doctrines are giving way to social justice and spiritual experience. This is the driving force, I believe, behind the One Project and to a large extent the Adventist Peace Fellowship. So, what is social justice? The phrase itself is a trendy and yet often ambiguous term that's frequently heard in the media, the academy, and in the church at times. Now, few people among you would ever want to be perceived as against justice, right? That's the power of the position. If you oppose it, right, oh, you're against justice. No. You're not against justice, but there's this general sense in the church, especially among the young, that social justice must be good for everybody, right? And so it's being marketed as a cause in line with Christian teaching and something in which Christians should pursue. But often missing from this is the sense of the need to be for justice, a sound understanding of what justice actually is. In other words, what defines it. Whole books have been written about social justice that never defined it. A friend of mine called sojourners, I believe in Maryland, asked him, what is social justice? And they couldn't tell them. And yet they've got a whole organization built around the propagation of social justice. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Jerry spoke just about an hour ago. I want us to move on here to another question. Tell us again in a nutshell, Jerry, what is the social gospel and is it a part of Christ's ministry?
Good question. By the way, have any of you been to GYC? That's one of the best things going in our church right now. It's a wonderful ministry to young people. And whether it's intentional or not, the One Project has positioned itself to be the rival, or at least an alternative, to GYC. GYC is the best thing happening right now. Okay, social justice or the social gospel. First of all, it's an ill-defined term. Whole books have been written about it, as I mentioned earlier, that they really failed to define it. Jim Wanless positions himself to be one of the premier authorities and disciples of it in Washington. He is the founder of Sojourners Ministry, and he's even hesitant at times to be able to define what it really is.